Roads? It's the Ernest Hancock Show. Where we're going, there aren't any roads.
Yeah, what's that mission? I'm just wanting to get out of the matrix. This mindset, this thought process, this idea that we're the only species on the planet that has to be, organized from, a false entity. I mean, at least in the animal kingdom, they put a crown on the queen bee or something. I mean, now it's just we create these things on our own. And what is the Matrix? What are we talking about?
Wanted to know what the Matrix is, Neo? This is the construct. It's our loading program.
This isn't real.
What is real? How do you define real? If you're talking about what you can feel, what you can smell, what you can taste and see, then real is simply electrical signals interpreted by your brain. This is the world that you know. The world as it was at the end of the 20th century. It exists now only as part of a neural interactive simulation that we call the Matrix. You've been living in a dream world, Neo. This is the world as it exists today.
Welcome to the desert of the real.
What is the Matrix? Control. The Matrix is a computer-generated dream world, built to keep us under control in order to change a human being.
No. I don't believe it. It's not possible.
I didn't say it would be easy, Neo. I just said it would be the truth.
Stop. Let me out. Let me out. I want out.
Yeah, you want out of what? The Matrix. It's just government is the mate. It's just this dream world. It's just generated mindset that they put you in to think that you have to have it. If you don't have it, then you won't have anything. And not having anything controlling people would be not having anything controlling people. And what the heck will we do then? I'm going, wow. That's why I'm not afraid. I'm not afraid of it. We're not afraid. I always play that opening scene in at the beginning of the show because I just want to emphasize I'm not afraid of not having controls and rules and boundaries. I'm not afraid. Well, we're going to be having an event here this Saturday, day after tomorrow, where Sheriff Richard Mack is going to be one of the speakers, and they're going to demonstrate a little chutzpah and say we're not afraid of going up against the big matrix. We're just going to advocate, using smaller matrices to beat them up with or something. So I want to go ahead and let's talk about it. What is the advocacy that you're going to have, Richard, and how do you think it's going to play out?
Well, first of all, my advocacy is for smaller government and getting government out of our lives, and I do believe in the Declaration of Independence where it says the only purpose for government is to protect our life, liberty, and property. Otherwise, we don't need government, and so government would be extremely small in that case. I believe that if you have a society, there's always going to be criminals that are going to want to do something bad to you or against you. Collectively, I think we have the right to say, hey, I want this guy to be in charge of protecting me from those people. Right now, the greatest threat to our God-given constitutional American liberty and our own lives and liberty and property is our own government. And so I would expect the person that I've hired locally, and I've served in that position, to protect my life, liberty, and property, and to be on my side to do that, to be collectively on the people's side and on the individual side, the little guy's side. And that's what I advocate. And I believe that the federal government has gone way too far, and there is a mechanism to keep them in check, and it's called state sovereignty. It's also called individual sovereignty, and it's also called local autonomy. And we can nullify that. And now I'm reading an email from a friend who said that David Gray Adler, a constitutional scholar who directs the University of Idaho's McClure Center, said this, and this is a quote from Adler: "There's nothing in the Constitution to suggest that the states are superior to the federal government," Adler said. "We have a long string of Supreme Court decisions that reject their theory." This is a constitutional scholar. Well, anybody in Idaho listening to this program, will you please tell David Gray Adler for me that he should quit his job and that he is a fool and he is ignorant, and ask him to read the Lopez decision of recent years. Ask him to read the Mack Prince case of recent years. Ask him to read the 10th Amendment to the Constitution that absolutely outlaws any laws by the federal government outside Article 1, Section 8, and that any power not delegated to the United States belongs to the people or to the states, and that the states, therefore, become much more powerful than the federal government, if you know and understand state sovereignty and the principles of dual sovereignty, and that the federal government is very impotent, and that was the purpose of the entire Constitution, was to create an impotent federal government. So these are the things that we're going to discuss this Saturday, and I do believe in the nullification process, because I think it's the most immediate way to get the federal government off our backs and to put them back in Washington, D.C., where they only have jurisdiction, and we will let them play all they want to in Washington, D.C., because that's the only place they have any authority. So the Nullify Now rally is in Phoenix this Saturday. I am speaking with a lot of other great patriots, Stuart Rhodes from Oath Keepers, and Gary Johnson, who used to be governor in New Mexico, and he issued more vetoes while he was governor than all the other governors in New Mexico history. And
all the other governors in the country combined.
Yeah,
I mean, he was like
exactly.
700 and something. It was ridiculous.
Yeah, exactly. So then in Cincinnati, the Nullify Now rally will be March 5th. I hope to be there too. And then they go on to New Hampshire, and then Minnesota, and then Austin, Texas. And I think this is great. I think it's what people need to hear. And this guy like Adler in Idaho, I'd be happy to spend my own money and come up there and debate him. Here he is, a constitutional scholar, and completely doesn't know and understand the Constitution or the Bill of Rights, nor has he seen any recent decision that has supported state sovereignty. So I would debate him or anybody else about that issue. The Constitution is still the supreme law of the land. I think we ought to give it a chance and actually use it and put it in place, and have local officials especially that will keep their oaths of office, stand by the Constitution, regardless of who the perpetrator against the Constitution is. And I believe that if we actually did, as Jefferson said, bind our politicians down with the chains of the Constitution, that I think we'd actually have that society you are hoping for.
Well, you know, my argument is as you study history and you actually read what a lot of these guys, especially Hamilton, you know, he's kind of the guy that got this Constitution thing going. Because
he was a big government guy. He wanted a big central government. And but the Founding Fathers shot him down. And Hamilton was...
He got what he wanted.
Well, maybe... Well, now he has. But I think even Hamilton would say, man, this isn't what I said. This isn't what I wanted. This is what I asked for at all.
The point that I'm making is that this is always the natural result of any kind of a collective power that has the ability, and certainly the emotional and intellectual sanction from the governed, you know, to do these kinds of things. Once you give them the power to tax and the power to regulate, the power. Because if you look at the Constitution, the first time I just read it straight through, you know, I was like 88, 89. I was 28 years old about, and I read it, and it wasn't until I got to, I think it was like the 14th Amendment, where it's like, you can't have any rule or right or privilege, or it doesn't equally apply to everybody. And I'm going, oh, okay, well, that's like the first sense I've made of the whole thing. I mean, you had, you know, the Bill of Rights and so on, of course. But, you know, it wasn't until I got to the 14th Amendment that I found the biggest contradiction of the whole thing. The entire laws are always to benefit somebody over somebody else. That was the whole point. They had the power of eminent domain. The government gets to decide what they want to take. The power to tax. The power to regulate commerce. If I was Lord God King Bufu of all I surveyed, what else would I want? I mean, I'm going, wow, man, this is not good. So I just have this aversion to advocating for rule of anybody, by anybody, or anything, except self-rule. And if it's not there to support, that's why I'm such a big advocate of Jefferson's Declaration of Independence. It was very clear what the role of government was. If it is contradictory to defense of individual rights, it's time to alter or abolish. And I say we're way past that time. I just do it as an individual. Hey, thanks for coming on, Richard. We look forward to seeing you this weekend.
Thanks a lot, Ernie. See you soon.
Uncovering the secrets and exposing the lies. That's what readers of freedomsphoenix.com get every day. Readers of freedomsphoenix.com are constantly provided the information that detail the real news between the lines of propaganda about government policies and the true relationship we all have with coercive governments. Learn the true condition of our economy, innovations and technological breakthroughs in energy, health, computer science, and space travel. Learn the truth well before it's admitted to in the lamestream media, the media that is so last century. Corporate media has evolved into nothing more than distributors of government propaganda, but we now have a fantastic alternative. FreedomsPhoenix.com provides constant news updates on the issues that affect our lives in the most important ways. Our liberty and our property are under constant attack, and FreedomsPhoenix.com provides the understanding behind the propaganda while encouraging the participation of our readers. Join us at FreedomsPhoenix.com. That's freedoms with an S, Phoenix.com. FreedomsPhoenix.com, where the revolution between the ears has already matured.